I'd like to call the board meeting for Benicia Unified School District, November 21st, to session. Before we begin our meeting, we have to report out in closed session. We had a student matter this evening, and I would like to call for a motion to accept the stipulated expulsion, and this will be an individual response, not a call to order, please.
I would like to make a motion to accept the stipulated expulsion as reviewed in the meeting today.
I second that motion.
Okay, roll call, please.
President Ferrucci,
Yes.
Trustee Holguin,
Yes.
Trustee Maselli,
Yes.
Trustee Seda,
Yes.
and Trustee Moss.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. That will carry, and right now I'd like to ask everybody to stand and join us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to call for an approval of the agenda as written, please.
I move that we approve the agenda as written.
Second.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Okay, we're going to move on to reports next, and we're going to start with our students. Ladies?
Good evening. My name is Lauren Kalika. I'm the ASB president. So I just want to start off with intramural volleyball is happening this week, and our finals is actually tomorrow. Winter Band has a fundraiser at CVAP Vallejo tomorrow all day. You'll catch me working there as well. Red Cross has a takeover at Roundtable. It was on Tuesday. Improv show on Friday at 7 in the PAB. Our football team is playing the second round of the NCS playoffs. It's a away game at the Rancho Cotati, sorry about that, on Saturday. And you can also listen to it on the KSRO radio at 1350 AM or 103.5 FM or at the ksro.com.
Good evening. I'm Maddie Branken, your ASB Vice President. So this month, we made a poster for our Benicia first responders for our November Random Acts of Kindness to thank them for all their efforts during October for the fires that were going on. November is also Mindfulness Month. So this year we distributed gratitude journals to write for every student to write 3 things they're thankful for every day of November. It's also, we had a special event for anxiety, depression, and suicidality presentation and documentary that was on Tuesday. And Sources of Strength made a movable and interactive installation which looks like wings, like bird wings, and each feather was created to include a source of strength for our students.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I had a question. I didn't hear the band fundraiser was where exactly?
CVAP Vallejo would be in the Gateway Plaza.
And that is what? Is that a restaurant or?
It's a boba place. The little balls.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah. What we have right now.
Show visual. There you go.
What day was that again?
Tomorrow, all day.
Thank you.
What's it called? Share tea.
Like share.
Oh,
tea, like we're
TEA.
sharing.
Yeah, it's
Share tea. Okay, that's why I didn't. Okay, thank you.
It's okay. Yeah. The other thing I'd like to add to is we received an email later this afternoon, and it was asked to share that the school play, Almost Maine, is that correct, is starting December 9th? Yes. December 6th?
2 weekends, Friday.
Okay, thank you. So it's the weekend, it starts the 6th. So if anybody's interested in tickets, our kids do an amazing job. Please feel free to come and cheer them on. It sounds like it's going to be another awesome production. Apparently there are 2 casts, is what I understood from the email today. So one cast will be performing one weekend, another one the next, so that everybody gets the opportunity to work on sound, lighting, and all of the various roles that go into play production. So Okay, just wanted to add that as well to the high school report. So, all right, ladies, thank you very much. All right, now we're going to move on to the superintendent's report.
Very good. I'd just like to point out, did you feel the air come on?
Yes.
So with our new thermostats that we put throughout the district, which were part of the Prop 39 energy saving grant, and when I walked in, it was 62, and I was able to text Mr. Romero, and remotely, he was able to turn it on. So it was pretty cool. I just had a simple message, a simple but hopefully a very important message to everybody that this time of year, Thanksgiving, as a society, we have a built-in opportunity to pause and engage in one of these beautiful, enduring truths around the high impact of the concept of gratitude and thankfulness. And just common sense and wisdom would say how important and powerful that is. But the research bears it out too, that positive effect on yourself as a human being, for your own growth and for those that you're around, taking a little bit of time each day, doesn't take too long, to just have gratitude for the many blessings and the gifts and the opportunities that you have in your life. I guarantee you as your superintendent that they'll make you feel better when you start your day with those kind of thoughts. So from superintendent and the trustees, I know we still have the rest of the board meeting to go, but I just wanted to wish everybody a wonderful and a happy Thanksgiving holiday.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You too. Okay, well, we'll move on to some board reports. Well,
I can start.
I happen to, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I didn't get a chance to share because I was at the last board meeting, but on October 19th, I had the opportunity to visit Lucas Grill, where our students were performing improv, and I was just blown away. Their performances were just outstanding. So really enjoyed that. I also went to the screening of the film, The S Word, and that was a really eye-opener for me, just to really get the statistics about suicide, and then to really, just think about how things are impacting our students as early as 7 and 8 years old with thoughts of suicide. So I was glad that I attended. It was very heavy, just because it was just so sad and heartfelt to know that we have so many people, not only in our communities, but in our schools, but in our world, who really suffer from depression or just thoughts of suicide. The other thing I attended was a community meeting at the library. And so this was actually open to the community and to students. And so the topic for this particular meeting was just about unusual jobs or odd jobs. So it was a good way for even, for adults to hear like what opportunities are out there that we don't even always think about. And also a way for students to be able to hear about the other job opportunities that maybe they want to go into the workforce and not always just want to go directly to college, but just to hear from other people and their experiences. One of their previous topics was around difficult conversations, because sometimes it's very difficult for us to talk about the things that we really need to talk about, and also be in a safe space. So the setting is like a circle group, so you're able to have a discussion, and it's put on by the library. They're actually going to continue with various topics. So that was it.
Okay, we're going down the line, right? I had the opportunity to help out and volunteer at the Robert Semple Elementary School's book fair, which I do every year, and I just have such a great time with those kids, and just seeing them beam when they see all the books that are available, and the little tchotchke things too. But the books are good. The books are good. Tchotchkes, sorry, like little toys. And then also the superintendent and I had an opportunity to walk through Benicia Heights School and Benicia Middle School and see, go visit some of the classes and watch education taking place. I was very impressed, as always. What was exceptional for me was that we went into Mr. Kaiser's classroom, and what class is it that he teaches? It's robotics. Okay. Well, he was talking about, and the kids were talking about this thing that they're putting together, which is low affordable housing. And so the kids are coming up with designs for different places where there could be affordable housing. And then what they are doing secondary to that is they're they're doing it on the computer, and then they somehow connect it to this 3D virtual reality thing that they put on your head with your eyes covered through this mask. And you are actually in the scene of the buildings that they're planning. And it was like, oh my, wow, it was like so great. And these are our students that are doing this with the help of this wonderful teacher. So I was just really impressed by that. So just thought I would share.
Okay, so real quickly too, I will add, I sat in on Dr. Beatson's El Capitan group again this past week. And I love that name. It'll probably never be El Cap again. You'll just have to rename it. So we did a review of the presentation that's going to be going out to the community, the students, the parents, the teachers. They were gathering together scripts, and I know I'm reporting this, and I know it's also changing because of the idea of a time, but the idea of having the kids involved in some of the presentations, which I think would be great. Also, we did a review of some of the data performances and how we're going to be reviewing and discussing those with everyone, and also a process for how we're going to analyze and organize the data. So I thought the conversations were rich. Did I do a good job, Capslight?
You did, that was my presentation.
Oh, there you go. I took notes this time. I thought I'm always trying to do this at the last second. I did notes. So anyways, I thought the meeting was really good and I enjoyed it. And I think our next one is coming up in December. So we'll be working very busily. So also I went with Dr. Young. We walked Liberty. And we walked Mary Farmer. So, and I got to talk to a couple of the teachers, and I'm really anxious to hear. So I may have to indulge and kind of walk over and see how their student-led conferences were going this year. There was quite a buzz. They were real excited and trying to gear that up and get the kids ready and get themselves ready, because it's a relative. You could tell me later. Okay, I want to know how the student-led conferences went, because I thought it was an amazing idea and I was all for that. So anyway, so that was my journey this past week. Okay. So with that said, we're going to move on to number 9, which is comments from members of the public. So members of the public may address the board at a regular meeting on any item within the board's jurisdictions. Cards may be completed requesting to address the board. They are available at the back table and may be submitted to the board secretary at the meeting. The governing board allows speakers to speak at regular meetings on agendized and not agendized matters under public comment. Comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker. By law, no action may be taken on any item raised during the public comment periods, and matters may be referred to staff for placement on a future agenda item. Do we have any speakers? We don't have any speakers. Okay, so then we're going to move on to number 10, which is our consent calendar. At this time, all matters listed on the consent calendar are considered by the board to be routine and will be approved by the board in one motion. There'll be no discussion on these items unless members of the board, staff, or public request specific items to be pulled and discussed. Do we have any comments from the board on the consent calendar? Can I call for an approval of the consent calendar as presented then?
I move that we approve the consent calendar as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the consent calendar is approved. Okay, we are going to move on to discussion items number 11. So at this time, I am going to close the board meeting and I am going to open the public hearing. The governing board will convene a public hearing to receive public testimony concerning proposed trustee voting area plans associated with the district's transition to a by-trustee area election system. We are going to convene a public hearing to receive public testimony concerning these proposed BUSD areas that are associated with the district's transition to a by-trustee area. Under California Election Code Section 10010, the board must hold at least 2 public meetings prior to holding a public hearing to adopt a final trustee voting area plan. At this time, our attorneys and Brendan will be kind of sharing with us a little update.
Good evening, everyone, esteemed members of the board, Mr. Superintendent, and Assistant Superintendents. My name is Brandon Lalonde. and I'm an attorney with Fagan, Friedman, and Fullfrost, F3 Law for short. Tonight, I am joined by Corey Burbach, who is working with Cooperative Strategies, the district's demographer in this case. And as you may be aware, the district is transitioning away from its at-large election system into a by-trustee area election system. Tonight is the second of 3 map-related public hearings, the purpose of which is to present draft map options to the public and provide the public an opportunity to comment on those draft map options, and the board will consider those comments later at a later public hearing when they decide which map they're going to adopt. Before we get into the specifics of any given map option, we think that it's important to first go over what the California Voting Rights Act is and what it prohibits, and why the district has deemed it necessary to make this transition. The CVRA prohibits the use of an at-large election system where it impairs the ability of protected classes to influence the outcome of an election or elect candidates of their choosing. And this language is very important because it establishes a very low bar whereby prospective plaintiffs could recover vast amounts of money if the district challenges any letter that it receives that says the district is not in compliance. So that is why the district has now decided to make this transition. And that takes us to our next slide, which is explaining what the by-trustee area election system is. In contrast to the at-large election system, the by-trustee area election system is the only safe harbor from a CVRA claim. That means once the district decides to make its transition, it is immune from lawsuits until the completion of that transition. And in this system, school districts are divided into a given number of districts. The district is divided into a certain number of trustee areas, 5 or 7 in this case, it's 5. And board members are elected from constituents of each trustee area. And it's important to note that although the board members are elected from a specific trustee area, each board member still represents the entire district, so as not to present any conflict of interest. The current stage of the district's transition is the draft map stage. The demographer has used the 2010 census data and other permitted data to prepare 3 draft map scenarios. And the most important consideration for those map scenarios is that population of the trustee areas must be as equal as practicable. And the case law on this subject has allowed up to a 10% variance between the largest and smallest districts. Other considerations that the demographer has to look at and the board must consider as well is that the trustee area draft map must comply with the US Constitution. Again, it must achieve population equality between districts, comply with the Federal Voting Rights Act. The trustee areas must be geographically contiguous. And another reason that this community feedback is important is that the spirit of the CVRA is designed to keep communities of interest intact. And if any member of the public believes that a certain community is best kept together, tonight is the night that the community should make that input. And I'm going to hand it over to the district's demographer at this time.
Thank you very much. I'll get situated here because I can't see that far or behind me. So when it comes to drafting the maps, I kind of consider it part art and part science, partially because 5 colors is about as artistic as I get. But the art portion is the input from the community, the board and staff. The science portion comes when we're talking about the constraints with the 2 data sets that we utilize to help create these scenarios. The first data set that we utilize is the most recent census. And for us, that until March of 2021 will be the 2010 census. And in 2010 census, our population as a district was 27,133 people. That's important because, as mentioned earlier, we have a 10% variance requirement that states the largest trustee area can be no greater than 10% larger than the smallest trustee area. So we're looking for about a sweet spot of roughly 5,500 constituents, and you're not going to see one greater than 6,000 constituents. The next data set that we look at is the the citizen voting age population estimates. And what that data set tells us or allows us to realize is the race and location of our constituents. And what we're looking for is to see, if directed, if we can create a trustee area that has a greater influence from protected class voters, if that's the direction we're provided. And so as you'll see here in the map, what we call as a heat map, it shows where we have greater influence or a greater percentage of the Hispanic Latino population. And as you can tell by this map, the dispersion, we don't see anywhere that has a lot of dark colors. We recognize that our population of the Hispanic Latino is spread out throughout the district. I wish they wouldn't use blue for the Asian population, especially for your all districts. It's kind of hard to tell where the ocean and the lakes are. But with that said, here's another example of the Asian population based off of what we call the CVAP. And again, you can tell that there are some areas that we see higher percentages, but again, it is spread pretty evenly throughout the district for our Asian population. Now to the fun part, the maps. So bear with me. I know this is a lot of fun for having me walk you through these maps, but for all three scenarios, trustee area number 1 will be identified in the yellow color. Trustee area number 2 will be identified with that green color. Trustee area number 3 will always be the red color. Trustee area number 4 will be that blue color, and trustee area number 5 will be the purple color. So to start, trustee area number 1 is bordered by 2nd Street to Military, and then kind of jumps to 1st Street, and that is the main borders of the first trustee area. The second trustee area, the green area there, is, I've kind of said everything southwest of 780, and again shares that same 2nd Street and 1st Street border with trustee area number 1. The remaining 3 trustee areas kind of look like a pie chart to me, in the center of everything north of 780 and west of 2nd Street, with trustee area number 3 covering the southwest portion up to and above Rose Drive. Trustee area number 4 covering the north portion of the district, and then trustee area number 4 is the blue region covering the southeast portion, and then trustee area number 5 covers the north portion of the district. For this trustee area scenario, our variance is at 8.86%, so we do satisfy that requirement. I always do note that under this scenario, we do have 2 existing board members that are in trustee area number 5, and we do not have any current sitting board members in trustee area number 2. When analyzing each scenario, we look at areas where we see greater influence from our voters of protected class. And in this scenario, we see scenarios 3, 4, and 5 have a greater influence when it comes to the combination of our protected class voters. And specifically in 4 and 5, we see a greater influence from the Hispanic Latino population, as well as the African American population in trustee area 4, and then the Asian population in trustee area number 5. All right, so how do we change under scenario number 2? What jumps out at me right away is that purple portion, trustee area number 5, now comes across 2nd Street. So the corresponding change is trustee area number 1, kind of, again, now all south of the freeway, wraps further up into Military Road or Military Street. I apologize.
Military West.
Sorry, I apologize.
Yep.
I knew I see the W. I was like, that can't stand for road. So again, the corresponding change that we see from trustee area number 1 is it travels further up Military West, and now we see trustee area number 2, the green area, jump across 780, and then trustees area 3 now goes above, much further above Rose Drive, and trustee area number 5, where it was more towards the center of the district and 2nd Street, comes a lot further west. Under this scenario, we have a variance of 4.23%, so more flexibility there. And then again, under this scenario, we do have each existing board member in their own trustee area. Now for the statistics, we have, again, I'll highlight trustee area number 4 and trustee area number 5, where we see greater areas of influence. And that's in the Hispanic, Latino, African American, and Asian in trustee area number 4, and then the African American and Asian populations in trustee area number 5. All right, now scenario number 3. I'll start with what jumps out at me is trustee area 1 after we had kind of regressed some of the territory as far as looking at the geographic space. Now jumps all the way north of Lake Herman and Lake Herman Road and covers that portion of the district. The corresponding change is that we don't cover as much as far as the bay on the bay side. And actually now we cover Libertary High School, but we don't go nearly as far up Military West. Actually, we're further east than we are in the first scenario. So you can kind of see where our population resides, because we may cover a large geographic portion as far as the map is concerned, but not a lot of people. Exactly. So we can kind of start to see where we've got to grab areas to make that variance requirement check out. Trustee area number 2, the green portion, is really focused where the streets are small, as I call them. Right there on the bay. Trustee area number 3 this time, which has always been staying above 780, kind of comes down, wraps around the bay on the far west portion of the district, and does move a lot further east than we've seen it in the past. Trustee area number 4 now again goes all the way up to Lake Herman and across Rose Drive, where it meets trustee area number 3. And trustee area number 5 is pretty much smack dab in the middle of the district, covering the center portion, with 2nd Street being its easterly boundary. And again, seeing a common theme is trustees area number 4 and trustee area number 5, where we're seeing our greater areas of influence, with the Asian population being 13.36% in trustee area 4, and trustee area 5 seeing 14% on the Hispanic Latino, and 15% on the Asian population. And again, as we kind of talked a little bit about on the CVAP slides, given the disbursement of some of our population groups, we're really not going to be able to create an area that really exceeds the district average. So with that, I'll turn it back over.
Thank you. And so now on the next slide that we're looking at here is telling us the remaining schedule. And if you look down at the 4th block, that's where we are today. November 1st, 2019, MAP public hearing number 2. We have one public hearing left, and that is on December 12th, 2019. And at that public meeting, it's going to be separated into 2 parts. The first is going to be very much like this, with the second part being an actual adoption of the map. And to the community, these are the sorts of questions that we would like to pose at this point. What maps do you like the best? What elements of each map do you like the best, or do you not like about each map? This is the sort of input that the demographer is looking for, and the board members are also looking for when they make their final determination.
Okay, so as part of this public hearing, members of the public may submit comments on the establishment of voting area boundaries for the new trustee voting areas that will be established as part of the district's transition from an at-large system to a by-trustee election area. Speakers will be given 3 minutes to make some comments on this matter and this matter only. Do we have anybody that would like to make a comment? Okay, please, when you come on up, please say your name and thank you.
Hi, my name is Laura Ruark. I'm a teacher at Mary Farmer Elementary School, and I am also a Benicia resident. I wanted to mention the scenario 2, that I saw something. I used to live on Carlisle Way, and I noticed, I don't have the map handy, but I noticed that the neighborhood is all together one trustee, and then Carlisle Way is off into another trustee zone. And the problem with that is Carlisle Way is right behind it is open space. So you have a neighborhood, and then you have one street that's in another trustee area, and then just open space behind it. And I know you wouldn't know that unless my brothers would go down into the open space and have parties there. I'm sure totally legal, And so I'm very aware of that open space area. Yeah, so if you see Carlisle Way it's like all this
Oh,
one
this is
neighborhood
it
and
over
it's just
here.
off
Okay.
to its own. So like right here, that's one street and the rest of that's all open. So that's oh. Okay. So yeah, if it's in the purple Carlisle Way, it's all open space behind it. So I would suggest you keep that together as one neighborhood because when you're walking around, it's one neighborhood. And I think it'd be really weird for a trustee to have to go and do like if you're walking your district to go up into another neighborhood and then go walk that one street and have nothing else there. So those are my comments. So thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah, that's my suggestion because that
Okay.
all open.
Yeah, it's right here.
Is that still?
This one right here, and then this is all open
Oh, I
space.
see. Where-
That's the problem with the purple.
So you'd rather see it right here.
I'd rather see that included because I think it's a weird. Yeah.
So like, is this?
Yeah.
That's
That would,
better.
well, it's a little, I mean, at least you have this part right here.
Okay.
They'll use at least this together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank
Sorry,
you.
okay.
No, yeah, I appreciate it. Just want to make sure I read it. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, nope, that is a good point, because that's what we were trying to watch was breaking neighborhood.
You obviously noted the comment from the speaker.
Yeah, I'm getting it right now.
Okay. Thanks.
So our public has had the opportunity to also input speakers on the web, comments to the on the website. Have there not been any comments at all that?
So we know that we've received one.
Could you speak to the microphone?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We know that we've received one comment so far, and that wasn't related to the substance of the maps. It was to
Right.
take names off of the map, and we did that so far, and we're, of course, open to any other comments. The link, I believe, is on the district's website.
Right, okay. So I'm also just gonna take a pause for a second. I see a lot of our students writing furiously as these slides are passing through. Just to give you a little bit of information, if you go to the district website, all of this information, the slides, all the data, it's all up there. So if you want to just kind of click on the website, you'll be able to find it all and not have to be writing so furiously, if that helps. How's that? Okay.
There's also
I just
map-
thought the heads are down, they're moving, I got what they were doing.
There's also maps in the back that we printed out in case that helps for homework.
Oh,
assignments.
okay,
whatever's
great. So
going
there's
on.
maps in the back, you can grab those too. Okay, so no other public comment?
Do students have any questions?
Oh,
Come on up to the
come on up,
microphone.
hon.
It's okay. Come on
That's
up.
okay. We need you to speak into the microphone because the meeting is being taped.
Okay. Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm from leadership. I was just wondering like what the trustee areas like has to do. I'm like really confused about what it is and like how it's different from like what's going on right now. Like what's the area looking like right now?
That's a good question.
That's a very good question.
So with the at-large election system that the district has currently, there are no trustee areas. It's one big area that elects every single one of the trustees. Whereas now, if we're transitioning to a system by which the trustee areas are now going to elect each one of their representatives. If that makes sense.
But the one thing that we've really talked about and we've tried to keep really at the forefront every time we have these conversations is though we would be divided into 5 different areas and not crossing over with regards to the election, we are all board members on the Benicia Unified School District, and anybody from anywhere in the city can contact us and we'll get supported. That doesn't matter. It's only for election purposes. Okay? Any other
Thank
questions?
you for asking.
Any other questions, guys? They're contemplating back there. There it goes. I knew it was coming. Come on up.
Hello, my name is Brandon Martin, and I was just curious and like wanted to go a little bit more in depth. What is the by-trustee, like why is it protected by the bylaw that like it protects itself from CVRA? Like what is it protected from?
So the CVRA was passed in 2003, and before that time, at-large election systems were considered perfectly fine. After 2003, it gave prospective plaintiffs, which is just members of the community that feel disenfranchised, it gave them a cause of action, which empowered them to essentially sue the school district if they felt that their membership in a protected class and they would not be able to impact the outcome of an election. So let's say you were a member of a protected class. If you felt that your voice wasn't being heard, then you could sue the district at that point. And now that we're transitioning to the by-trustee area election system, that provides a safe harbor. So now that if the district receives a demand letter or a lawsuit, then the district is safe after they make the transition.
One of the ways, excuse me, one of the ways to look at it that might be a little bit easier to understand is that by breaking the district into smaller pieces, only the people in that local area will vote on the trustee for that area. So it gives people in that area a stronger voice for who's representing them on this board.
So I would encourage you to really kind of be following and paying attention, because I believe our city is shortly behind us on our heels going into the same process. They've actually been here at some of our open public hearings so that they too can become more informed and more knowledgeable as they begin this journey themselves. So we're going to be seeing that more and more as we go from town to town and district to district. Okay, and the CVR means the California Voters' Rights Act. Okay. All right, if there's no other questions, I'm going to close our public hearing and thank our gentleman for being here.
Thank you.
I'm going to thank you everyone for your comments, and this public hearing is closed. Until the next one. Okay, and I am going to move now and open the board meeting again, and we are going to move on to item 11.2, which is the Measure S quarterly update on the school facility bond projects. Mr. Rahal.
Yes. Thank you. I'm going to present this information item to you tonight. Miss Egan could not be with us. She's not feeling well. So this is for your information. It's our quarterly school bond facility update. As you might remember, we have a citizens oversight committee made up of, currently we have 5 people sitting on that committee, and we meet quarterly. So we just met on October 23rd. And so we're bringing forward to you that packet from our meeting, the agenda and minutes. And then there's some schedules in there about past, current, and future projects of our school facility bond, as well as the line item detail for all the expenditures that we made that past quarter ending September 30th. So I'm just going to focus on the one page in the packet that is basically our past, current, and future bond projects. And so we're just reminded, the voters in Benicia approved a $49.6 million school facility bond several years ago. So just around $50 million to invest in our school facilities. And we did a lot of the backbone items, technology infrastructure. We did a couple major roofs at the high school in Mary Farmer, phone PA and bell systems. We painted the high school, did surveillance throughout all of our schools, mini fire alarms, the new Benicia High School stadium, track and field, some locker room HVAC upgrades at the high school, and recently finished the Benicia High School Performing Arts Building lights, as well as both tennis courts at the tennis courts at the high school and the tennis courts at the middle school. So we've been really busy. In addition to that, we've started a huge facility modernization project at Benicia Middle School. So we're doing that phase 1 as you drive down Southampton Road. All you have to do is look over at the Benicia Middle School and you'll see a brand new entry. We've created an enclosed outdoor learning area in the front with a very attractive fence, and have placed 3 new classrooms on the one side of the front side of the building there. So really excited about Benicia Middle School, and really appreciative of everyone accommodating the need for that space as, driveways and parking spaces have been roped off so that we can get the contractors in there. So they are going to be paving that front area over the Thanksgiving break. Due to the nature of asphalt, they have to let that cure and set before they can stripe it. And so the plan right now is they will be striping that fenced off area on Monday if the weather permits. And so on that Monday, there's about 7 spots closest there to the admin that those additional 7 spots would not be available on Monday, but the rest of the parking lot would be open to staff on the Monday as it comes back from Thanksgiving. So that's kind of the plan for now. We also have a couple fire alarm projects at Joe Henderson and Matthew Turner going on right now. They're doing that after school, after hours, to keep those projects moving along. We also got through the federal E-rate program, we got about $320,000 from the federal government that we matched $320,000 from our bond to do the next technology infrastructure upgrade. A lot of our students here tonight from Benicia High School have one-on-one devices now, and that increased use requires increased backbone and web access and all that good stuff. So we want to make sure when the technology is needed that it's available for folks. So we're doing that second upgrade. Future projects with our bond. So we're just over halfway spent of our $50 million. But we've basically committed the remaining amounts to the remaining projects. So we want to finish off the Benicia Middle School. There's also some seismic work at the middle school for earthquake current regulations for earthquake construction and stabilization there at the middle school. So we're going to be working on that. Finish the last fire alarm here at Liberty High School and the district office. We have met with our district facility committee. So that's our district staff committee, not the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. This is a different group made up of district staff and principals and administrators, and we talk about, and school board members. And so we got together a couple weeks ago, and the biggest item on that agenda was touching base with the Benicia High School Theater, as well as Mary Farmer Elementary School modernization. And so one of the items for discussions is, unfortunately, unfortunately on the funding side of things, we were trying to get a few $1 million to help really do a big renovation at the Benicia High School Theater. We have applied for that twice. We've been declined. There is a third round of potential funding. We're going to apply for it. We have been talking with a consultant. We're not very hopeful that we will get it. We've been declined twice. We don't have any information that would indicate that we would get the funding this third time around. They do look for certain demographics in your district, and Benicia doesn't seem to have the right qualifications to get the funding for that. So what the school facility committee talked about is using some funds we had set aside in case we would get that, and allocating that to the Mary Farmer project, which would basically allow for additional funding at the Mary Farmer school site to take a bigger chunk out of that project. So at Mary Farmer School, it basically has the main campus building that was built sometime around the 1950s, where the admin building is, and the MP room, and some of the other permanent classrooms. And then there's a few rows of portables in the back, and then there's a portable section in the front. And so that project basically would modernize the whole campus, including new facilities in that front portable area and the back portable area. And so what we're doing right now is with the architect is fine-tuning those plans. We are going to be sharing those draft plans with the Mary Farmer school staff. I think we're going to try to do that before the winter break. I don't think the date has been scheduled, But if it's not before the winter break, it'll be early in January so that we can present that to staff and get any input on what their thoughts are. But we want to bring them something forward that has some of the main ideas. So that will happen very soon. And at that point, after we finish up Benicia Middle School with some seismic work, the fire alarms, and take a big chunk out of the Mary Farmer modernization, we will be going back to the Benicia High School Theater because I've been told, I haven't seen the lighting system at the theater, but I've heard it's absolutely amazing. But there was some work needed to be done for the sound system. So we are going to go back and work on the sound system and some electrical issues at the Performing Arts Building and make that happen now. And so with that, I think that was the biggest thing we wanted to share with you tonight. Things are going well at the Benicia Middle School. We continue to apply for additional funds at the state. The state is very slow about awarding those state funds, as well as releasing. Once you get awarded the state funds, you don't get a check soon. You have to wait until they have the cash in the bank to give it to you. So we're just being very patient. But we've pretty much put in our applications for all of the state matching grants that we can at this point in time.
Okay, any comments or questions? Okay, then we're going to move on to number 12. Then 11.3, I am sorry.
Already covered.
An update and a report on the strategic plan or the local control accountability process. Dr. Beatson.
Excellent. Well, thank you, trustees. I'm really actually excited to present this. And I met with our county support person. She meets with me every month around the LCAP. And I said, I don't know, but I'm really excited about developing this LCAP. And I don't know why, but I'm getting really into it this year. So it's a fun process. And we have some new components I wanted to take a minute to share with you. So, what I'm hoping to do is just let you know the process we're using to develop this year's, the development process for the next 3-year LCAP, which we're starting right now. And we have many stakeholder engagement requirements that I think have actually expanded over the years, and that is who we need to provide information to and solicit feedback from, and then talk with you about the plan of how we're going to do that this year. So right now, we're implementing our current strategic plan, LCAP, and planning for our next 3-year LCAP. The State Board of Education is slated to adopt a new template in January, and hopefully that happens. I don't think it's going to be very different than the current one, and I think I shared some of that information with you a couple of meetings ago. One of the things that we're working on right now is really gathering our data, because everything that we do in the LCAP needs to be data driven. So how are we doing? What's the impact of the programs that we're using? What's the usage of the programs that we're using? And are they predictive or helping us move the needle on the state required, the big data? So I think of these kind of the little data that we do internally, and it should all lead, think of the yellow brick road kind of analogy, down the yellow brick road to the state test, the chronic absenteeism, suspension rates, all the accountability measures that we get tracked on with the state. So we're in the process of gathering that data right now, as well as our statewide assessments. And right now, the California dashboard, which I'll present on in January, is just under private preview. So I can't present here right now because this is a public meeting, but I'll present on how we did on all of those areas in January. The other things that we've been doing is having lots of meetings. We heard from Trustee Ferrucci about our El Capitans meeting. We have a parent LCAP advisory. That's a requirement, and those folks have been joining the El Capitans, and that's been very positive, meeting with lots of different parent groups. And then we're planning our stakeholder engagement, and we'll use that to plan the next LCAP. I'm not going to read all of this, but these are just what by law, by ed code, we have to do. And that is, again, consulting with lots of different groups, having a parent LCAP advisory committee, and then demonstrating that we're genuinely looking at this feedback that we collect and using this feedback as we construct the new LCAP. And actually, in the new template, if it gets adopted, there are places where we have to specify what groups gave us what feedback and how it was considered. So you don't have to use it all, but how it was considered to help influence the LCAP. And so we have to spell that out more clearly. And this is just a list of all of the different ways that we are gathering input. So we'll have some formal ways and informal ways, but these are all the groups that we need to consult with. And then, excuse me, the way we're going to do this year, because the goal is we create a new 3-year plan, and then each year we'll have some small tweaks, but this will be the biggest lift. So it has, in my mind, kind of the biggest stakeholder engagement plan. And then after this, it'll be smaller ones. So I'm in the process, having worked with the El Capitans and the parents, to create 3 short video presentations to lay the context and the foundation for all staff, and we'll share it with families as well. So the first one is, what is the LCAP and how does the budget work? The second one is, what is the LCAP and what are the requirements that need to be in there? And then the third one is, what is the LCAP and what are our current goals and areas of focus? Just before anybody gives input, you have to know some of this information. So that's step 1. Step 2 will be these stakeholder engagement forums. We're going to do that in January, where staff and families and all of those folks that are interested can come and give feedback. We'll divide up a room or several rooms into different areas. So if you want to give feedback on the elementary literacy program, you can go to that area and you'll be able to see what's our current program, what's the data. We'll have almost like a yellow brick road, a data wall with our local data and leading up to the big state data, the budget and all of that. And then there'll be, and I'm working with technology to figure out an easy way, so we don't hand tally things like we did last year, to provide electronic feedback around a couple of questions. Probably something like, after reviewing the data, what do you notice that seems to be working really well in our elementary literacy program, and what needs some area of focus? And so then there'll be different areas, and people can pick and choose which areas they want to go give feedback on. Professional development, so I've clustered everything in the LCAP. And then an area on, these are the proposed new goals or how we've tweaked the goals, and an area where folks can give input on that. And then another area where people can give feedback on priorities. And there's this idea, it'll hopefully be electronic, but something that looks like this with different areas, and people can give input on, academic interventions or social emotional support are areas of focus. So kind of those broad categories. So that's step 2. And then step 3 will be putting together a task force, which will be made up hopefully of the El Capitans and more teachers and parents, where we actually take 2 days of just, let's collect all of this feedback that we've just gotten, go through it, sort it, sift it, categorize it. What is it telling us? Does it raise more questions that we need more data for? Really kind of get a handle on that, and then be able to use that to say, here's where we are, and here's where we want to be in 3 years. So we set our 3-year target, and then backwards map for how do we get there for the next 3 years, and then that would become the new LCAP. So that's kind of the big plan, and that would happen during February, because then I need to be able to write it, bring it to you. It has to go to the county in April, actually.
Sounds like good.
You're all welcome to.
Students, do you get why we're having this whole LCAP discussion? Lots of
All about you.
So essentially, the state gives us about $44 million to spend on running this district, and this is the way we are reporting back to them what we are spending the money on. And we have to turn in this report every spring and meet and show how we met the goals that we started out with. And so LCAP is our strategic plan to meet the goals for spending the money that the state gives us.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, number 12, we're going to move on to our non-consent action item, and that is consideration and adoption of the AP research textbook.
Yes, thank you. Several times a year, we have I shouldn't say several times a year, it's not that often, but periodically, we have a need to purchase new and updated textbooks. And this request came from the AP research teacher at Benicia High School. She has been piloting this textbook here called Research Design by Creswell, and she would like it to be adopted. It is a small section. It's actually a stacked section. There's only about 10 students in it. And in the past, they've been pulling material to use, but the need has come for something that's a little bit more comprehensive and helps students look at topics in multiple ways. And so she found this as a great research. It was recommended. It was on the list of recommended textbooks from the College Board. And so I bring this to you today to hopefully support the adoption of Research Design by Creswell for the AP textbook.
Any questions or comments? Okay, can I have a motion then to approve the textbook?
I make a motion to approve Research Design for the AP textbook.
I second that motion.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. All right, we are at the end of our meeting. I know we've moved real quickly tonight. However, I just want to thank everybody for the hard work that's going on behind the scenes to make these happen. It absolutely is noticed by all. And I want to thank our students for being here.
Thank you.
And on behalf of the board, I think it's fair to say that we all wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. Get lots of rest, because things move really fast after Thanksgiving.
Oh,
So,
yes, they do.
all right, thank you. And this meeting is adjourned.